Welcome to another edition of the LonelyFans podcast. Tonight we are talking about Shang-Chi, the Legends of the Ten Rings. The spoiler talks, but we're joined by our usual suspects. Myself, Carson Daly, a fun guy, Albie, and Young. And before we jump into our questions, guys, in one word sentence, describe the movie. Who would like to kick us off? And let me preface by saying I look like an ass right now because it's for CM Punk's return tonight, AEW. Yeah. All right. Who would like to kick us off?
I would say majestic.
Not one word sentences. One sentence to describe the movie. In which
yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
It's not a bad word. That's not a bad one word to describe it, but I don't know if you want to elaborate that into a sentence, fun guy.
I would say a majestic experience for a Marvel Origins movie.
Okay.
Humble beginnings.
You took my some of my lines about an Origins movie, so I'll say it as a good fusion of a martial arts movie and a hero movie with a really excellent cast overall.
I think for me, I would say a movie that lived up to the hype and represented Asians very well.
It's hard to top any of that. I would say it's something different, in my opinion, from the MCU that I'm used to, and for sure, great to see representation. And just so you all know, I have the great protector joining me right now, and Albie's got Katie and Shang-Chi and joining him as well.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah, I saw that. That's cool. All right, so that first topic we're going to discuss, someone can kick us off. Doesn't have to be Albie because he's positioning his figures, which I'm fine with because, So I would ask, the first question is, what MCU film does this compare to? In your guys' opinion. And do you mind if I kick it off?
Absolutely.
So for this, I'm going to say, it's weird. I would say Doctor Strange in terms of origins. And the reason why I say that is in some elements of Doctor Strange, it is grounded until he gets to the Kumatage, and then it becomes like this magical thing, kind of like when Shang-Chi goes to his homeland, like they go to the forest. I don't know. That's my my comparison to it. I was trying to think of other movies in my head of origins, what it would compare to, but to me, that one stands out.
It's a very good comparison because there's no other Origins movie that takes you to another reality, or you know what I'm saying? Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi do that the best. Here's where you know everything's happening. Here's another dimension, or a quote unquote magical place. Because Doctor Strange had to set the tone for magic in MCU, whatever they call magic in MCU. Super science, I don't know, but
okay, I just thought of another one. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. If you got another one, go for it.
No, you guys go ahead.
I got two actually, and I'm saying one that I'm going to say is an Origins. The other one is not so much an Origins either. Let's start simple. I thought about Thor quite a bit. In a sense where you have a being, and Shang-Chi is not necessarily a god, but he has been like trained, to have like close to like godlike powers. But also just in a sense is where like Thor didn't need to escape from Asgard, but he definitely needs to kind of like get away from his like upbringing to kind of like understand himself better. And that's what both Shang-Chi and Thor had to also, what helped them was relationships. Now, Thor's relationship was romantic, Shang-Chi wasn't, but I think one of the good things about Katie was she was that relationship that he needed to kind of like, you know, not just become better as a person, but also kind of get away from like too much of what he had to deal with, was like, you know, being trained to be a, you know, a deadly assassin. And also let's talk about, you know, the focus of Thor was the relationship with his father. So same thing with Shang-Chi. Now,
Yeah.
we can argue that, you know, the relationships are very different because at least in the first Thor, Odin wasn't like an evil or like bad father, but you know, the relationship was like central. On Shang-Chi, it was a lot more complicated. The other movie I thought about is Black Panther quite a bit, mostly because that movie also, you know, it was about his relationship with his father, and also trying to, you know, think about how he can continue like his father's legacy. And kind of also because, but the reason why I can't give too much comparisons is that we got to explore Wakanda more, most because Black Panther isn't an origin story for Black Panther. It was more of an origin story for Wakanda because Black Panther's already established so pretty well in Civil War. So we couldn't like while in Shang-Chi you go into that different world like Taolu, but you know, we didn't, and I'm not faulting the movie for it, but we definitely didn't have as much time to explore there like we did Wakanda. So yeah, those are two movies I would think of.
Yeah, for me, I was actually going to say Black Panther too. You know, just discussing the relationship between father and son, living up to the legacy and, you know, the expectations that you set for him, and also dealing with the sins of your father's past too. You know, like with you know, T'Challa's father, you know, what he did to his own brother, and the ramifications of keeping Wakanda closed off, and then, you know, in Shang-Chi having him set up to be, you know, this unstoppable assassin when he was trying to leave that all behind, and it is kind of an interesting parallel, you know.
Yeah, hearing that, I was just like, man, I totally forgot.
The only thing I will say though is I didn't want to say Black Panther is because, I mean, the thing that I loved about Shang-Chi was that Asians got their superhero finally, right?
Yeah.
But Black Panthers, you know, like I don't want to say like black people finally got their superhero, but they had a significant, poignant, and amazing movie, and like I'd rather have related it to something maybe more, not necessarily like mainstream or white, but like think about. I'm sorry to go off topic, but like Crazy Rich Asians, it's just like this, you know, crazy story about rich people and love and all that stuff. But yeah, it was about Asians, but at the same time, it was Asian people having that ability to have that kind of movie, and that's what Shang-Chi was also about, us having that kind of movie.
Yeah, I would agree. So,
And I love. Oh, good.
Go.
I love the fact he's not an A or B list character. He's like C, D list in Marvel. This brings attention to a character that I think deserves the attention. Y'all know I've been reading him since probably 98, maybe 2000, probably before that. But I'm like, yes, the little guy comes up. Like yes. I want to see more of him.
Yeah, for sure. I totally don't know why I didn't think of like Thor and Black Panther until like now. It's just because like trying to rush like brainstorm, but like it does. Like when I was watching the movie, like when we were watching it, I was just thinking, it's like, man, it's like the secret land, like in Asgard or Wakanda, or forgive me, the land was called, it was Talho, right? Or
Daolu.
Sorry, Talho, yeah. And I was like, whoa. So I was like, I wonder how many other lands they're going to explore in the MCU. Because I thought that was pretty sweet, you know, and it made me want to learn more about the air, like the city as well, or the land. But I totally forgot to correlate it with Thor, so I'm glad you guys mentioned it.
I mean, it's good that we can think of different movies because, you know, I mean, it is like they're all connected together. So there's nothing wrong with like having similarities. But it's also good that there are a lot of like differences as well. Like, even though Taolu, we had a short amount of time compared to other worlds we went to, I still was like, you know, kind of in awe of it. Like the scenery of it, like some of the wildlife we got to see, so those like lions In fact, I am young. Maybe you can relate to this. I remember like the palaces in like China, but I know in Korea, I would visit palaces and they would have lions that look similar, like kind of guarding those palaces. But I've only seen them in like that concrete form. So here we are. We have this mainstream movie that kind of like puts a more Disney kind of see in real life, and I like the final battle scene as well.
I think they're called Fu Guardians. I could be wrong.
I think we lost Albie for a second there.
He went to Dalu.
No, but I definitely agree. It's seeing all. It's great seeing this like visual imagery and stuff like we've kind of already seen in like old martial arts videos and seeing those animals bring to life. Like when I saw like the nine tails, that was really cool. Just seeing that little interaction with its cub or what are they called? I guess when they're is it a cub? No, it's what are little kits? There we go. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, you saw Feng Huang by Mingxi is a special. That means it's a nine-tailed fox. What else did we see? I think there was another creature, that horse-type kelp thing. I forgot the name of it. You know what I'm talking about?
We saw Morris.
So
Morris's species I know nothing about, and that was I'm not familiar with this species. I have no idea. It didn't ring any bells. That was fun.
Yes.
So,
welcome back.
Glad Albie's back.
Okay.
It gave me Marvel, and it gave me a wuxia hero, heroic fantasy Chinese film. Wuxia, that's the name. That's it. That type of heroic fantasy. Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon, level of martial arts. You know you're not going to get normal martial arts. You're going to get Shi masters and things like that. You're going to get supernatural martial arts, but based upon their inner strength. But this time there was rings. That's okay. Albie can tell you about the genre.
I'm not an expert at the genre. I love Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but my favorite wuxia movie was this movie where I guess technically the main star, or at least to the U.S. audience, was Jet Li. But I thought the best character was this character named Broken Sword, played by Tony Leung.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, if there's another movie you want to watch, if you haven't seen Tony Leung movies before, if there's another movie you want to watch, watch Hero. It's pretty much a Rashomon-like movie where you hear a same story about, assassins, but told in like different perspectives. And I always feel like every story, Tony Leung's character Broken Sword is the most interesting to watch. Not just because he has, shows off some decent martial art capability, even though he's not, the actor's not necessarily a martial artist, but the complexity of his character is very interesting. So.
Oh yeah, Hero. Yes.
Yep.
I've seen that a lot. I've watched that a lot. That counts as wuxia, I think. Right?
It does. I mean, it has like, the fight scenes get a bit more like in the kind of more like a dance like feature. They defy gravity quite a number of times, but it's
in cool ways too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to spoil it though, in case you haven't seen it.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, no.
You've seen it. I mean, anyone else?
Yeah.
It's an old movie. It came out early 2000s, I think, before 2008.
I was in high school, or I was coming out of high school when I saw it. So that was like
American release too, just like Hidden Tiger, House of Flying Daggers, Hero. They wanted to see if the Western audiences would stay with that. So Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon, House of Flying Daggers, which I think is underrated, Hero.
I do think, but won't get too much into that. But I do think House of Flying Daggers is underrated. But that's another topic for later.
Mm-hmm.
But since we're talking about fight, I'm sorry.
Good. I said I wish I had knowledge of this so I could relate, but I'll definitely check out Heroes most likely.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Tony Leung right now. He's got quite a list of things.
He's a big, and remember, you know who else was in the other A-lister? I forgot her name.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yes.
Michelle Yeoh. Yep. Who Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She's the character that pretty much fights with a machete, Everyone else, they got the swords, but she fought with a machete. So yeah, no, she's great.
So you said Tony Leung's got a long list. You mean to tell me the MCU isn't his first crack at acting?
This is unknown that they found.
I'm glad they grabbed Michelle Yeoh and Tony Leung. I'm glad they did for an Asian.
Absolutely.
I mean,
since you guys were on topic about different genres, this question is gonna be: does the fight choreography stand out among the MCU and other martial arts films?
Yes,
it does.
Yes, I mean, I'll try to keep mine short because I want a fun guy to talk about this more because he has more expert knowledge on it. But we were talking about wuxia. But I like how the first half was more of a different type of style fight scene. It was more like on a street-like level, more like Jackie Chan fight scenes, but not necessarily as comedic. And since this is a big budget superhero film, we're not going to get it necessarily at that grounded level that Jackie Chan is known for. You know, pretty much keep the camera, no edits, and just pretty much follow him. But I still saw, you know, the level of acrobatics that, you know, Simu like had, or the character had. And also the use of environment like Jackie Chan, like he would always do. But they tied it into a more like MCU like fashion, and it worked like tremendously. Then once we get to Tao Lu, that's when we get into the wuxia fight scene. It was a good transition. Also for the story wise, I would see Pack photos after he saw the movie practice like the more of the Tai Chi like movements in the back to start. But like I get it. It was a good like transition like into, you know, character development, really. But yeah.
Because what they did, you don't see in most things. They used the martial arts to tell the story. Like the internal and external styles. Their father had a very hard style. In comparison, the mother was opposite. They didn't say what style, which was good. They just said they learned the styles of the gods. So it's a mystical martial arts form. You saw that comparison. Even if you had no background in wuxia film or even old Shaw Brothers martial arts films, you could see the difference in their fighting styles, right? Redirection of force, lots of circles. They based it. I was like, ooh, someone's done their homework. The choreographers put in enough of Chinese martial arts that people can recognize, but it's still fun to watch without having to know what's going on. Without having to know what art that took from. Like, oh, this is Xingyi, or this is, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have to do that, which is cool. But there's distinct difference in style. And the lights, all the color, made sure of that. And Albie stepped again in Dao Long. That's okay. He'll be back. It was a one portal.
Something. Sorry.
No, you could go for it.
A quick mention. I think we're talking about the fight choreography. Unfortunately, the fight choreography was done by someone named Brad Allen, this Australian fight choreographer. Unfortunately, he died like last month. So that's gonna be a huge blow. But I really wish I paid attention to him more because he's done other ones like Kingsman and all that. And actually, he did the fight choreography for the first Wonder Woman movie as well, which you know, also had some of the best fight scenes. You know, coming from a Disney shell, I can say Wonder Woman. Disney Moore had one of the best fight scenes.
So he wasn't in the second one? No wonder the second one sucked.
Yeah,
I don't know if he did, and you know, we'll get to that later. All we can say is like, you know, Brad Allen was a master like in his craft, and it's unfortunate he left too early. He was actually also Jackie Chan's protege. You know, he learned from Jackie. He like was in Jackie Chan movies, so you can see influences, but you also can see how he was definitely influenced by Jackie Chan, but he's worked in big budget movies, so he knows how to make cool fight scenes, even though, you know, with, you know, a lot of money as well. You know, I think it's a good mixture of artistry and, you know, Hollywood, if you'd say. So yeah, definitely not a fight choreographer that sold its soul to the devil. It was a fight choreographer that knew how to blend, you know, keep it real, but also, you know, wow us, you know, with money.
You know, one thing that I think Abby mentioned that I really loved was that like how in the fight and the choreography, it actually is like the conversations that they have. You know, like Tony Leung's like Shang-Chi and what's Tony Leung's character? What's his name? One more time.
Wenwu.
Wenwu?
When
Yeah,
who?
when they're fighting, like when Shang-Chi's trying to match his father's tempo and style, like he doesn't do well except the one time where he explodes in rage. You know, he even goes to the point where saying like, you know, like would she even still want to be with someone like you at this point? And then they're butting heads, and then like that doesn't work because obviously like later in the fight, like he you know changes it up where like he kind of takes on both his mother and father style, and that's when he kind of gets his father to come around. That's when he gets the upper hand on his father, you know, like, and I thought that was just so cool, you know, like you get these like you get this guy trying to be like his father, realizing, you know, because his aunt says it, you're not just a product of your father, you're a product of your mother and everyone who came before you, and he takes that lesson and that he learns it, and then he applies it, and that's when he finds success, and that's when he's able to win and overcome like his traumas in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also wield those rings.
Yes.
Good.
And the way he wields them is so different for his father, and like it's so cool.
Yep.
It was,
They kind of. They're good.
no, you go.
No, you go. Get on.
Well, no, just really quick. I mean, something to quickly note is that in the comics, or at least some of the recent version of comics, the rings was literally rings on a finger. And then if you see some of the images, you think Infinity Gauntlet, and that's why they pretty much like, no, let's do something different. And then
Different with them, yeah.
rings around the, which was awesome.
To their credit, I think that worked. You know, I really like that idea better of having the rings around the arms because the way that's utilized. You know.
You remember Kung Fu Hustle
Oh yes.
and the brass rings of the Hung Gar practitioner?
Yes.
I was like, oh, they put in some Hung Gar martial arts in the movie? Maybe. I mean, that style, sorry. I can't, I have to see if they did. I'm not sure, but I thought the rings was going to, I have to look up the styles myself to see what was in the movie.
There was a Kung Fu Hustle in Shang-Chi's room.
Yes.
Yep.
Which showed the influence. I think that was like, hey, we definitely took some stuff from this movie, or we like this movie too.
Oh, yeah.
Type
Yeah.
thing.
Was it the poster on his wall? Is that why you guys
Mhm.
the poster?
That was.
There were two posters, and that was one of them.
I was looking. I was like, "What are we looking at? Is it an Iron Man poster? What is it?"
Nope.
Kung Fu Hustle, directed by Stephen Chow, who also did like Shaolin Soccer.
Yep.
Ones. And then I believe the fight choreography for Kung Fu Hustle was Yin Wu Ping, who also did fight choreography for, I believe, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Matrix.
You won Ping?
Yin Wu Ping, yep.
He was if you get a chance, you guys, check out Man of Dai Chi. It's good.
Yeah, definitely.
For a martial arts film, I underestimated it for a minute. I said, ooh, Keanu Reeves is a villain. He's not the star of the movie, but he did okay.
And another tie-in, when Yin Wu Ping also did a fight choreography for the Grandmaster with Ip Man, played by
this man.
Again, Tony Leung.
It was the best version of the Ip Man story that was not factual that I've seen in from Hong Kong.
No disrespect to Donnie Yen, but
yeah, but it wasn't better than. Personally, was not better than that.
Just like a random side note, would you ever think they would have made a Tony Leung figure?
No. I've been a huge fan of his for a long time, and with the movies I was doing, Hero was probably the closest to an action type movie, but it really not in a sense where you make toys.
Yeah,
out of that character. Other movies he would do like romantic dramas, sort of movies with a lower budget and all that. So never in my life would I thought he would be like an action figure. So when they announced his name like a couple of years ago that he was going to play, well, the Mandarin, that's how they labeled it. I had to take a double take, like, wait, no, what? Are you serious? And then a couple of days later, I was like, holy shit, he might be an action figure. But even then, I wasn't so sure how he was going to be utilized in the movie. Like, was he just going to show up near the end or something like that? Or like kind of like throughout the movie. But when you watch the movie, what was pretty good, he was borderline almost the main character. Almost. Not too much where he took, away from like similar Shang-Chi. But they, did enough character development with him, enough, exploring his like past that he almost felt like a main character.
I would say save a little bit because that's going to be the next kind of question I was going to ask.
Oh, yeah.
Before I do that, thank you, Bruce Gabian, for joining us. What is up? What is up, man? Thank you for joining us tonight. I did want to ask a fun guy, like when it came to the martial arts, did it seem true to like the styles, or was it a little bit? I don't know. I guess the reason why I'm asking is because I've seen a lot of movies before where they integrate martial arts, but a lot of it is like that's not possible. Or you know what I mean? Like the styles that they're doing isn't completely accurate or true to its form.
So to be fair, we almost had three different types of fighting movies in one film. If you look at the fighting in Macau, right, with his sister's fight league, the pit fights, that wasn't exactly the same as you saw in the mystical land of Daolong. And then the bus fight was more of what we're used to, the slow motion and stuff like that. I would say if they were trying to capture traditional martial arts, traditional Eastern Chinese martial arts at least, they did pretty well for a lot of the scenes to give you that feel. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It didn't move too fast. There were a couple movements of different styles I noticed. I'm like, oh, okay. So someone wanted to emphasize, hey, this is not Civil War Winter Soldier, and this is also not Thor for combat. I'm like, okay. So to answer your question directly, yes, some of that stuff I believe they took from actual martial arts. I have to like break it down scene by scene to see what and which ones. I noticed probably 3. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more than that, but there's a few influences. I'm like, oh, this isn't all wushu. This isn't all Northern Shaolin. This isn't all yada yada.
Well, kind of like what Albie was mentioning earlier about like the fight in Macau and the fight at Taolu and the fight in there's all different styles. I thought it was kind of significant, Young, when you mentioned his aunt was teaching him, because you can kind of see his style was like so aggressive, and she's like loosening up. And that's when he kind of like, I guess, embraced sort of the Tai Chi method that his mom used. But I thought that was pretty nice callback. I just
they did.
Randomly, Bruce Gaben said he saw said Mephisto, but I'm sure Mephisto was somewhere there. Anybody else want to touch anything else about the martial arts in the film?
What didn't you like about the combat in the film? Yeah, let's go there.
It might have been some of them might have been a tad, but I understand there was so much to put in. Maybe a tad bit too short. I would have liked some of them to be a bit longer, but I wasn't sad either because I get it.
Like the fight between Wen Wu's army and because I mean the main focus became the Great Protector and then the demons coming out. But I kind of wish we would have seen more of that war going on.
I agree. I wish I did see more.
Good.
Well, I did wish I saw more of it, but I was glad it took time to show the Great Protector, because in the trailers I never thought they were going to go so deep into that, and it was like really beautiful to look at, and help with the story too.
Yeah.
So let's give a shout out to Andy Lee from Martial Club. I'm glad he was the mask, the death mask. Death Dealer.
Death Dealer, that was him?
That was him, bro. Like I'm glad they came up. They went to the red carpet.
Yeah.
I don't expect them to see this, but if they somehow see this, I want to say that. Like, he made that character matter. A lot of people wouldn't have looked up that character or anything. I'm like, ooh, did and if not all I think he did all the stunts too. So give a shout out to them. They don't know us, but that's cool.
The one thing I will say about the combat, Are we keeping this spoiler free, or can we kind of say some stuff?
No, this is spoilers, dude. Go ahead.
We can spoil it.
Okay, cool. Because like at the end, when they're like, aim for the throat, and then Katie makes that 1 in a million shot, and I'm like, she learned how to shoot like the other day. Come on, guys. Like,
correct.
That actually took me out of the movie, and I was like,
I knew you were going there.
And the movie made fun of that, by the way.
I heard you when that happened, and Young was like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah, he's like,
"What?" I heard that, and I was like, "Oh."
I didn't hate it as much because one, I was expecting, and I go like, okay, clearly, because one, good job because they're utilizing Katie more. She's not there just for, as I said before, she's not there just for comic relief. There's like her relationship is important with Shang-Chi. Maybe it didn't take me out because it wasn't necessarily a hard shot specifically. Like that was a pretty big throat. So maybe it didn't, maybe it was in a sense where she had to hit like the eye, or there's like a bullseye she had to, then yeah, that would take me away. I think it was a matter of like your environment. Like, are you able to take an arrow out and shoot without something else disrupting you? And maybe it was a lucky shot, but hey, for someone who doesn't know, hasn't been really in combat, she stepped up and took her chance, and thank whatever deity you believe in, she did.
She's now better than Hawkeye. She's the new Hawkeye of the MCU.
That's the whole point of the new Hawkgirl series. It's Katie versus the new girl.
Yeah,
hey, I'd
Katie
be down.
versus Kate Bishop.
Do a Katie Bishop versus Florence Pugh's character and Katie.
Oh God. Who do you think would hit the throat better, Hawkeye or Yondu?
But Yondu can't miss, man.
That's true.
It's not the same.
Okay, so this isn't necessarily the fight choreography. I think the thing I didn't like, they're about to kill each other, and all of a sudden it's like we have to work together. I was like, I was about to kill you like a second ago. I get it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, good.
You're correct. That's why that was a comedic scene. We're part of the 10 Rings. We don't soul suckers. Got it. Yeah, let's work together. That was so. What that movie did well, Katie's shot, and then the 10 Ring organization losing their ego and teaming up were two major points. Katie made fun of herself a little bit about how she made that miraculous shot at the bar scene, like Youngin said. That shot shouldn't have happened. She knows it. And we know it. The directors know it. She shouldn't have made that shot. Also, them teaming up all of a sudden was out of necessity. And it was funny how they changed the script that fast. Because they realized that they're going to die anyway, but they have a chance if they team up. That was made obvious on purpose.
Speaking of that team up, though, you know how they do it because their big assassin guy, it just instantly drops dead to Solian, and they're like, yeah, we should probably do that. I honestly thought he was going to be a bigger part of the movie, the guy with the mask, because in the trailer it seems like he's almost they're like, oh, this is the guy that trained Shang-Chi, he has a vendetta against him, and he almost does kill him in Macau, and so I was like, maybe there's going to be a bit more into it, and for him to kind of get off like that, I was like, it defied my expectations, and I don't get me wrong, I liked how they did that because it's it gives a bit of gravity to the situation, because you're right, why would the 10 Rings all of a sudden work with the people of Talo, and then it's oh wait, our biggest hitter just got taken out in an instant, maybe this is a bit bigger than us.
Yeah,
that makes sense when you break it down like that. Yeah,
that's what happened.
I think it's also the common thing that brings all the MCU movies together is that you have these individuals with individual vendettas, but there's always going to be something bigger than you. So,
there was an idea.
There was an idea.
Bring together. I just kind of wish that Shang-Chi was the one that killed Death Dealer and not that God. But
But you expected that. You expected them to duke it out again. I'm glad it was a soul sucker instead.
I guess I didn't think of it the way Young broke it down. That does make sense from their perspective. It's our best hand-to-hand combat. The warrior just got killed instantly. You know what I mean?
Soul got taken out.
Soul got taken out. Yeah.
Speaking, and this is for later, but when after you said that, Pac-Man, I know the last part is the thing about Shang-Chi in future films. I have a pretty cool idea, and then we can get to that later, obviously.
We'll get there here in a second. because the good segue, Young. Thanks for having a segue into this. Who's your MVP for this film?
Ooh.
And mine would be the action figure that Albert. Yeah, here's the thing.
I agree. Tony Leung, 100%. Like the way I would say it, he's not even the villain of this film. He's just a victim of his past. Like the great demon, that's the actual villain. Tony Leung is just a man, like just trying to get his family back together, just trying to figure things out. And like I don't know, like Tony Leung is not the villain to me.
The intention is pure, but the I will say,
More of a driving force in the plot than anything.
Yeah. I was like, I felt so bad when his soul was getting taken away, and he's looking at his son and thinking of all the moments they've connected. I'm like, yeah, he's not a bad guy.
But I love that because it's like that's when like he finally becomes a father or dad, because it's like they say he's immortal with the 10 rings on, and he realizes, he looks down at his son like Shang-Chi's probably going to try to save him. He's going to get his soul taken. So what does he do instead? He gives him the rings and says, it's yours now.
Let's also keep this in mind. So in the beginning of the movie, there was this one time in the beginning of the movie when they were trying, he was in the Jeep and they were going to like Tala. He used the rings to save his own ass that one time. He used the rings to save his own ass. Everyone else died.
Yep.
His final act of using the rings was to save his son.
Ooh,
so
it's a
that,
big
I think
character
that's
shift.
important to think about. Another thing I want to point out is a fun guy actually shared with our message thread I got to find out who did the video, but a video. Tony Leung is known as the actor who can act pretty much solely with his eyes, and you saw that through the entire movie. In fact, one of the last scenes I thought about is when, and we also got to give credit to Simu Liu and his performance as well. I think this is one of his first big feature movies. I think he's going to be able to do a lot of good things in the future. But also when he was pleading with him to join them, you look at Tony's face, and then there's just a look. He's looking at the wall, still convinced that his wife, Shang-Chi's mother, is still behind there, and that hit me. That look alone, I was like, oh damn, you're the villain. Well, you're technically you were advertised as a villain, but hit me in the feels with just a simple look.
Yeah. I mean, even when Shang-Chi says to him in that fight, was do you think she'd even still want to be with you? That look on Tony Leung's face, oh, it's brilliant. He's an amazing actor, and I will give Shang-Chi credit to be in the same room, to be in the same scenes as a talented actor as Tony Leung, and still hold your own. And it doesn't feel like he's not doing good. He's doing a fantastic job in it. Like I said, that fight scene where he's just "Is this what you want?" That whole scene is probably one of my favorite scenes. That conversation that I have, that fight, it was brilliant. That's all I can say.
Speaking of being in the same room and trying to be in the same caliber as Tony Leung, which Simu Liu did a good job. Even Awkwafina, the interactions they had, I thought she did a good
Girl.
job. I felt like it was a missed opportunity to have Ben Kingsley and Tony Leung in the same room. Even one interaction. I don't know if it's for comical purposes, or I wanted almost a purpose where, I don't know, Tony Leung just looks at him and Ben Kingsley almost shits his pants or something, because you try to imitate me, and he's yeah, that was my bad, sorry, so my bad. But a part of me felt like maybe they didn't do that because that scene would cost millions and millions of dollars to have Academy Award winner and nominee Ben Kingsley and high caliber actor Tony Leung in the same room. I'm pretty sure if that was written in the scene,
they could do a little short.
Even if it was short, it'll probably still cost a lot of money. I'm pretty sure if a scene that was written, agents got involved. Hold on, okay, we have to rework contracts.
Ben Kingsley did the shorts for in the prison. I can't imagine he made that much money off those. So maybe just a little 5-10 minute thing.
He did that.
I wouldn't mind. That was one slight miss opportunity.
For sure.
Oh yeah, we're doing who our MVPs are.
Yes. Or MVP. Yeah, who's your MVP?
You can guess who mine is. I'll tell you if you forgot. I said it early in the theater. I was favorite character, right there, done.
Morris.
No, not Morris. Second, he's second. The first was the first dude you saw live stream.
Oh.
That guy, I want to see him all over the MCU now.
Is he the new Stan Lee cameo?
He should be. He should have his camera out. Like, yep, I decided to make a YouTube on it. Check it out. We're here. Hulk just came down. I mean, he's still rocking the sling. You know, I'm here. I've seen a little. I saw a Battle of New York. He needs to be in every. I want him to have his own TV series, like that dude, because he's an unexpected character for a short amount of time that had a big impact on me, at least.
Where was he? What other? He was in Spider-Man, right?
I didn't see him in Spider-Man.
No,
Yeah, he was in Spider-Man. Do a flip.
You're right.
Oh, he did?
And that's probably the same character.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. What did he say? He's like, I can't fight. He's just like, I'm back.
No, he
Wait,
said.
I believe-
He said, I took a little martial arts back in my day, so I can give you a breakdown of what's going on or something like that.
That's right. He's like live streaming that shit.
So good.
Yeah, I would still say, yeah, my MVP, I guess it's unanimous with Albion Young, would be Wenwu.
Good.
Yeah, I only said because like in that movie, like man, he hit a range of emotions. Like that scene when he's with Shang-Chi and his sister Jiling, like, and the mom there, and he just looks at her. You're kind of like, man, he's finally like at peace and bliss. And then when she dies, you can see the pain. And then when he's in his office, he sees the box, and he just feel like, fuck, like, you know, part of my life is just like, damn, you can really feel the pain. He's just like, it's never gonna happen again. And he gets bloodlust, and he just murks the dude at the club in front of his kid. Like,
His kid had to see it.
Yeah,
He's going to take the Empire. Like, you need to know that it's blood for blood. You have to know.
That was an awesome scene. Like just how it was like framed, because you were like looking at
The
by
way
the
it was,
reflection, and then like, oh man, and then he pretty much uses the rings like a gun and taking the last shot at someone's face. It was like, right in front of like his kid.
It was graphic on purpose to illustrate whoever they made the martial arts tell the story. They made the combat and tell the story. That's the way it should be done. And it had its own feel. It wasn't copying any other, including Black Panther. It wasn't copying any other film for the style of action. At least not obviously, in my opinion.
I forgot about that. He just blasted the dude straight in the head.
I was like, that's cool. I do want to mention one like honorable mention for MVP. I mean, one, it's great that, you know, Awkwafina did well. It's great for Michelle Yeoh to come in. But I found out, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Menger Zhang, the one who played Jai Lu, Shang-Chi's sister. I remember looking at her IMDb, and like I think this is her first movie, if I'm not correct. If anything, first like, you know, full feature movie, and props to her. Like,
really?
You know,
Yes.
Yeah.
His sister,
like,
right?
Yeah, his sister. Like her scenes were like just as entertaining as well. And even though we didn't focus on like her, well, no, I think we focused her a decent amount, not just the relationship between her father, but the relationship between Shang-Chi, because she felt like betrayed. But you know, she must have done so well, because the second after credit scene, I was actually looking forward to. I hope they actually do something to this. It better not be a tease. This better be. I mean, I wouldn't mind a full feature movie, or heck, a Disney Plus show of her like lead, like, you know.
I'd love to see that.
That'd be
I wonder if they're in conflict with a power broker.
Ooh.
We'll get into the future here in a second, man. Shout out to her.
I want that to be the whole show. The whole show. Her versus Power Broker. Or they team up and take on somebody else.
Whoa. Shout out
That'd
to
be
her
a spin. That'd be a change.
for building that underground fighting. You know,
That's all. I'd watch a TV series on that.
yeah.
We had someone with that extremist in there. We had. I mean, I would. You know what? I'd play that game.
You play
I was honestly thinking that. I was thinking about for the future. This is where Shang-Chi could be headed to, like with all the fighters in that kind of ring. That would be dope.
I would play that game if it was done right by the right studio, even if it's an indie studio. I'd almost rather be an indie studio. I don't want Marvel to make and yes, I'm pointing at you, Marvel Games, whoever did this. I don't want any more mobile games that are trash. I want a good, solid game that you do.
Yo, give it to NetherRealm. Give it to NetherRealm.
Avengers failed.
He doesn't know.
Squaresoft had it, didn't do well.
I love Contest of Champions, and I love the mobile game. Thank you, Kabam.
I mean, you can like it, but I mean,
Injustice.
Yeah.
The company that did Spider-Man, give it to them or Neither Realms or Rocksteady.
I was gonna say that she's pretty powerful when she's got sorcerers and freaking abomination fighting against each other, and
a dude with extremists.
Yeah.
People forgot about extremists.
Yeah,
the MCU version
in the little cage.
Oh, he was in the
not cage, but clear cage. Yeah.
I thought that was Taserface for some reason. Okay, so we're already jumped it a little bit. What should we expect in the future appearances or Shang-Chi appearances? Expecting.
For me, realistically, I think if they kind of play like the comics, I think he is going to eventually get into conflict with his sister because in the comics, I think she takes over the 10 rings as well, right? So that or something to that effect.
At some point, maybe I think she did. Don't quote me on that, but I think there was a conflict of different types, or they met up and teamed up against something recently.
Yeah, but for me, I think I don't want to necessarily just keep them in the realm of Asian representation or something, but I think it'd be cool because I mean, there's so many heroes that you could bring in. You have Amadeus Cho. He's his aunt or his mother was mentioned in Age of Ultron.
Yep.
And then for me as a Korean, there's kind of hits close to home. That in 2021, I think Marvel released a new superhero called Taewon. He is the Korean version of Superman, essentially.
Oh.
There is a storyline with I think Black Cat has to go over and essentially work with the Korean Avengers, essentially a Korean version of it, and bring him back. Because he goes crazy. So it's what if Shang-Chi could go into that kind of realm? What if
I'm down?
We had our Avengers, we had you've had the West Coast Avengers and things like that, and looking at DC, you've had the Asian Justice League. What if Marvel could pounce on that and I don't know, make Asian Marvels? I mean, Asian Avengers.
I'm down. I'm in.
I'd be down totally.
I want to see Lin Kuei the Cat, one of Shang's rivals from the comics, in my 6 buy. You can check him out in Cable versus Deadpool crossover. Shin Kuei the Cat. He's just as good as Shang-Chi, but he's not a chi user.
Yeah, I mean, even this way, you could segue other, martial artists like Iron Fist and things like that, and even Daredevil and his cast, who he fights one clan I can't remember the name of, but this is such an easy way to introduce all the martial artists into Marvel, and because right now the Marvel scale is it's galactic. There's Thanos and threats like that, but Shang-Chi's a bit different. It's more. I mean, sure, there was a great demon in it, but it was more down to earth street fights and stuff like that. So it's a good way to bring in the rest of the cast, kind of I think that would be a good way to do it.
The grounded characters, as Broder would say.
I'm always into the grounded street level characters because you have emphasis on story, not Reed Richards saved the day, or Tony Stark can build something, or Hank Pym can build something, or Bruce will punch it, or outsmart it. It takes more effort to do a street level grounded story, in my opinion.
Or the future I'm hoping for is Fing Fang Foom.
Oh, yeah. All right. Why not? That'll make money.
Because we're talking future. So in the after credit scene, I gotta imagine that's what the rings were reaching out to.
Nope, Galactus.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Galactus? You really?
Galactus. If it's
they haven't even introduced the Fantastic Four. It's a bit early.
Then it's going to be Eternals crossover, or it's going to be another Celestial. Because if it's not Galactus and it's not an Eternal, maybe Shimagarath. Maybe. This isn't all my idea, but they got to tie it in with the new movies coming out.
Hold on one second. Bruce Gabian says, sister takes over 10 rings, has jealousy over Shang-Chi and tries to kill him. That could be the sequel, yeah.
Because she does need some juice if she's going to run this organization eventually. What'll keep them in line? She's really good, but what if another supervillain like Tombstone or someone with powers goes, I challenge you, and you can't punch or kick me? Do you have any spiritual-based martial arts? No. You're probably going to lose because you can't use a weapon. Sorry. So I think she needs an edge eventually. Either
Sure.
learn her mother's art. Yeah, I mean, I'm just being too comic booky.
No.
Learn her mother's art for a supernatural martial art, or get those rings. She needs an edge.
All right, Albie.
I was like thinking more. I mean, I think most of what you said, I wouldn't be sorry if those happen. I was thinking more in a sense of who's taking the mantle of whom. Not that I'm saying they have to be exactly like these characters, but they're kind of like filling it in. So I feel like Doctor Strange is pretty much the Tony Stark now. Captain Marvel is, I would say, more like Thor.
Yes.
And then
Sort of.
I would say Shang-Chi might be the Steve Rogers, where it's kind of like taking on like that leadership like role.
Okay.
Like that's what I'm thinking. The most simplest way possible. There's probably more complexity where all these characters are their own thing. Maybe they take more of like, you know, multiple like mantles rather than just one solely taken. But if we're thinking just the simple three, because technically that's how Endgame sort of ended, it was like, you know, Thor, Captain America, and Tony Stark. They were the ones approaching like Thanos, like in the Endgame. So yes, in that exact fashion as well.
Oh, that Thor. The fun one.
The fun one, but you know, still effective. So I was thinking like in terms of like that. It's definitely a lot more complex. You know, with Wakanda Forever coming around, maybe Shuri. You know, I feel like, you know, if she take a mantle of Black Panther, she has to be.
I think she is
like part of that as well. And in some ways, she's probably a little bit more and maybe even smarter than Tony Stark.
She is.
Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't read the Wakanda Files. One of us has to read that.
Yeah, I was just thinking like Doctor Strange, because like Tony Stark, like he's the one that's thinking ahead. Like Tony Stark, every movie was just him like thinking like ahead of the next big threat and everything. So you know, like I said, it's going to be a lot more complicated than what I'm saying.
We practice my point.
One thing that
that's
I would say to that.
That's pretty good, right? Tony's point. I don't know why I like his point. He just goes,
that's the end game. Yep.
See up there? That's the end game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Well, I don't know. One thing that I would say to Albie's point, I feel like instead of Captain Marvel, I mean, I would say, sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Like, if you're trying to relate it to anybody, I feel like Shang-Chi would be almost more like Thor, the guy with the godly weapons, you know, the kind of comedy and kind of like he's the heavy hitter in a sense. And Captain Marvel would kind of be more the Hulk character, kind of here but not really there.
The Force, like the blue force, yeah. But then, so
okay, I see. I can.
So I was under the. I mean, obviously, because this took place way before any of the new stuff came out. I was always under the impression that the new big three, was going to be Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and Spider-Man. The only reason why I say that is because in Endgame, they're the only three of the new Avengers that carry the gauntlet through the field when they're trying to get it to the. In a lot of ways, I thought that was symbolic because, okay, this is them being, you know what I mean? But, you know, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. You know, we'll see what happens with Wakanda Forever. But I think, like you all said, I think it's complex because it's like, well, you still have Sam Wilson's Cap, who is actually Captain America, but then there's attributes of Shang-Chi that remind you of Steve Rogers, but to Young's point, his power is more so like Thor. And it's definitely more complex now. It's not just like the six.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Already, it's a lot more complex. And I shamefully didn't. I was thinking more like MCU movies. I shamefully forgot about like Sam Wilson because I you know, before all this came out, Falcon and Winter Soldier was definitely one of the best things that came out like recently in the MCU universe. So,
yes,
so you're right. So this is already a lot more complex than it looks. So wow, this makes it a lot more exciting. I mean, and this is probably to your point what Pekvo said like a couple of like episodes ago. You said that we might not even get full-on Avengers movies in a while. We're just probably going to get a lot of individual, more like smaller crossovers than the one big one. which I'm okay with. Like,
Yeah.
if it, like, if it's just effective.
Well, the
But,
thing is, like, you have all these powerful beings, and then that's where it's like, that's where I'll see Galactus at the end. Because then you have, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I still stand by that they're reaching out to Fing Fang Foom.
I think I want him to show up.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, I'll eat it. But who makes more money is what I thought about.
Galactus? True.
Galactus does make more money than Fang. The Eternals have to matter. They need that movie to matter.
Oh yeah, God, we're still getting Eternals. I forgot about that.
So
Yeah,
it could be, but it doesn't make sense. Fing Fang Foom, Galactus, or Kang make more sense.
Yeah, I think Kang makes sense because aren't they setting him up to be the next big bad in Marvel right
The
now?
crossover
So, like,
bad, yeah.
yeah. If
it's not,
based on that, what Wong said, like, where it's like, get ready because your life's going to change forever, and if he's already talking to the Avengers, like, I don't know.
Something big's going to happen. Oh, a couple channels, not us, but a couple other channels had said that what if these rings are from the future and haven't been built yet?
Oh shit! The technology wasn't recognized. That's right.
It's not my idea. Other YouTube channels get that credit.
I looked at Albie though, like after the after credits, I was like, that was a stacked after credits, man. We got so many hints for what's going to come in the future.
Yep.
I'm just mad we don't know why Bruce is back to Bruce and not the Hulk.
And his arm still isn't healed either.
I was confused by that too. I got he was doing the whole like I combined, the
now he's 13 going on 30. Bruce Banner again.
13 going on. Oh man. And not to mention, maybe villains are going to be more complicated because we talked about Kang, but there's a possibility that Wanda's going to be a villain.
I hope she
who
is.
knows what's going to happen to Loki? So that's going to
Loki's not a hero, technically, anti-hero.
Exactly. So yeah, wow, this is already. But this is a good thing. I'm glad that my prediction wasn't anywhere near as easy, because that shows that the MCU is really going something different and going for something bolder. Really, I mean, it was bold to do Shang-Chi to begin with. Like, as Broja, you said, he was practically a C-list character. I haven't even heard of him when they first announced. They just said Shang-Chi. I'm like, okay, who? And
a lot of people did that. Like, who's this cat? Where have I seen him? If you haven't been reading recent Marvel, you haven't seen him in the Spider Island storyline. You didn't see him after Civil War when he joined the Avengers, and Tony made him the elemental nunchucks.
And maybe this is because I haven't read the comics, but at the same time, if you just read a basic thing about Shang-Chi, you would probably wonder, so what are they going to do that makes this feel different than other things, other than the fact that we're finally getting our first Asian superhero. And they practically did it by making this family drama.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And I thought that was brilliant. This is a really complex family drama in a martial arts / superhero movie, and they did a really phenomenal job. So no, again, props. I am going to be trying to see this multiple times already.
Yes,
I'm going to try again next week.
Yeah.
Sorry for the obvious, but I love that after credits where he's like, "Get some sleep. You've got a big day."
That was great. That was great.
Karaoke. You know what's funny? I realized before doing this podcast, I was actually doing karaoke with my sister in my parents' basement. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yes, this is kind of an Asian stereotype, but this is an excellent Asian stereotype to share. The only sad thing, I wasn't drunk while doing it, but it was still fun. But I thought about that scene, how they use that twice in the movie, and I want that's important. That's it's a big part of representation. It's not trying to say boo all stereotypes. It's trying to bring to light some stereotypes that there's some truth to it, but also doesn't put a negative light to it. It's puts a positive spin on.
Shout out to family karaoke night. That's awesome. Dude, I love how Wong was still in his sorcerer outfit.
Oh yeah. And they were singing
That's
Hotel
only getting worse.
California.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was intentional, but I like when she finds out his name isn't Sean. She's like, Shang-Chi. And I wonder if that's their little rib on people trying to pronounce it, because for a while I even pronounced it as Shang-Chi. What's it, Shang-Chi? You know what I mean? So that was cool.
I know very little about Chinese. I only took a semester of it in college. But is there anything I sort of grasp is that tone is very important. It's not just like reading the letters, it's like how you say it. So when I saw that in the plane scene, like I get what he was calling Shang-Chi. And then she was like Shang or Shang and Shang. No, that's how I said, but tone is like, super important. Granted, this is not from a scholar perspective. I need to put a disclaimer there. This is from an idiot who's like, oh, I'm going to take, a language and not really devote to it. And, I think I only got it like a C. And so, yeah, we're getting too deep.
Guy takes one Rosetta Stone trial, all of a sudden he speaks.
All of a sudden, he's
a Duolingo, bro.
Oh, man. But, yeah, no, a lot of fun.
Do we have...
So I got to ask.
Okay.
Beef or vegetarian?
Oh, my God. That was so...
Yeah, actually, speaking of that's what I want to mention. I'm hoping, but it looks like it's not. I'm hoping Awkwafina is not just a side character. We're like, all right, we had her for one movie. That's it. I hope, they actually utilize her more in the future. I mean, the movie kind of set up for that. When Wong came in, he just didn't ask for Shang. She went like you as well. And they both went through that portal together, arm in arm. So hopefully
She's an archer now, she's taking over for Hawkeye.
Yeah. I think she's too much of a star to just not have her involved in more MCU stuff,
Mm-hmm.
No.
I want to see her show back up.
Plus, they made a figure of her, so that means she has to continue.
Yeah.
Wait, quick question. Did they ever make a figure of Rhodey from first Iron Man, if you know what I mean?
Oh, Terrence Howard?
No.
Yeah.
They made the suit, but not him, no.
Oh, okay.
Good question. They did not.
Yeah.
Terrence was like, yo, where my money at? They're like, no. And he's like, yo, where my money at? No.
It sucks. To me, he was so... I know we're getting off topic here. We're going to close out in a few minutes, but his Rhodey was like on point to what comic Rhodey was in the animated
That's
series.
not what Terrence Howard thought, apparently.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
who's the director again?
John Favreau.
John Favreau didn't think that way.
Well, damn it.
That's definitely another topic. I don't think there's an easy answer because I definitely didn't have issue with Terrence Howard as War Machine, and while at the same time, I really liked Don Cheadle as an actor, and I thought he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
So that's a what if situation.
Oh, I wish it was a variant world where it's like Ed Norton and Terrence Howard and
David Bana.
Yeah, Eric Bana.
Eric Bana, I meant.
Ben Affleck, Daredevil.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, that's right. He's going back in the suit, baby.
Wesley Snipes' Blade, the best.
Ooh, yeah. I'm actually down for that. He was a great Blade.
He put Marvel on the map, like I told you.
Sure.
Ask
But
Pat.
Mahershala Ali.
Oh, yeah, no.
He's gonna do good. He's gonna do good. It's gonna be a different.
If there's someone that, if you're gonna, take over that mantle, then you got to really go above and beyond. And I think that's Mahershala Ali.
And it won't be rated R, so I'm cool. It's a whole different Blade.
Oh.
No.
I'm like, all right, I won't get the same Blade. I can still watch those over and over again. This will be a different Blade in the MCU. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, before we close out, any final thoughts on Shang-Chi? Yo, I was going to say that, man. Can he just summon Great Protector whenever he wants?
No.
I don't think so.
That would be great. Get it?
Oh.
No, you can't. I said that'd be great. Get it?
Oh, I saw what you did there. The never-ending story. He can never summon this thing.
Falcor! Betray you! He can't. No. It's that city's protector. It lives in that water.
Because I was like, how dope would that be if there's like a cosmic attack and he just comes out and starts blasting dudes with a great protector?
I'm not saying he can't,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think they're going to. Oh, that'd be so, man.
Well, because I had thoughts. I was like, I was going to do a photo later. Free money. Basically, it's like great protector saving Asgard from Surtur, so that'd be fun. Anyways. Yeah.
I mean, what if?
What if? Any final thoughts, though, guys, before we sign out of here? From the LonelyFans compound.
I just want to give a shout out to Simu Liu. I mean, I loved him for a long time because I saw him first in Kim's Convenient, and like I identified with his character in that show, and then this movie. Like, he does a really good job. I just hope he doesn't get typecast as the son who has a difficult relationship with his father. But then again, that's like every Asian son.
And shout out to him for like, because I always see this on Instagram, like the tweet. He was like, "We need a Shang-Chi," and then like a couple of years later, there he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he was like, "Hey, when are we gonna for our first Asian superhero?" And then they announced Shang-Chi, and he goes like, "All right, Marvel, can we talk, or we need to talk?" And then, boom.
Yeah, I will say
Hey, we need to talk because I'm in.
I think he carried the marketing for that movie up until.
I think so.
Bravo to him, man. And you can see like the genuine excitement, like the merch that was released of him. He like posted every day, like, "Oh, here's my Funko. Oh, here's my figure. Here's my." So I love when actors who play the role are genuinely excited for it. So.
About doing it, yeah, not just another day in the office.
Right.
Yo, hot take. I don't think this movie would have been successful if it wasn't Simu Liu as Shang-Chi.
You might. I think you have a point. Who else could have done it and had as much charisma for a new audience? There's not a whole lot I can name. Probably less than 10 mainline actors.
Chow Yun Fat.
Not the same crowd. See, he'd bring a whole new audience. So
I do like. Hey, but that Packflow's brought up a good point.
Donnie Yen could have done it as well. But
since they brought in Tony Leung, let's get all these other actors. Get Chow Yun Fat involved.
Yeah, Donnie Yen, Chow Yun Fat,
Maggie Chung involved. Andy
Lee,
Lau,
Jackie Chan.
Yeah,
for no reason.
Yeah. No. Wow. Maybe that'll be my final thoughts. Like this was a great opening for like diversity, especially for Asians. Let's keep this up. Let's bring attention to what the Western world has been missing all these years.
Yes.
Right on.
Yes. Yes.
You co-signing? Is that your sign off on this, Rose?
It is. To not keep it too long, we need more characters from that universe. We need more representation, and they can hit us up if they want a script.
There it is.
Name dropping.
Okay. Well, from the LonelyFans compound, I am Carson Daly, Fun Guy, Albie, and Young. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And be sure to hit that like button, smash subscribe. Peace.
Peace.
Outside.